4 minutes past the hour of 2 on Your Women Radio, WFM 91.7, Nigeria's only radio station for women and their families. Today is the 26th of October 2021, and you're welcome to Political Arena, where we discuss politicking in Nigeria. Today we're discussing 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajama, and you're welcome once again to Political Arena this Tuesday, 26 October 2021. The subject of mobilizing to support female candidates is very timely, and it is imperative that we discuss this as currently only 7 out of 109 senators and 22 of the 360 House of Reps members are women. Certainly, we do not want a repetition of these statistics come the 2023 elections. There are a lot of barriers to women participation in politics, from the lack of political will and effective government action to the lack of funds and cultural barriers. Now, we'll be building on this foundation while discussing 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates, because there's simply the need to mobilize women ahead of the 2023 elections. You can join in the conversation as we discuss. The phone lines are 07000 917 917 or 0902 562 5455. And you can also send your comments via text messaging or WhatsApp messaging to 0703 175 6537. Again, 0703 175 6537. You can also send your comments on our social media handle at WFM917 on Facebook and Instagram. And you can listen live wherever you are in the world via the stream link www.wfm917.com. I'm not doing this conversation alone today. I'm not having this conversation alone today. I have my guests with me, Dr. Safia Stephanie Musa, National Vice President, Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria. Dr. Safia, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Thank you very much for joining us today. All right, going forward, when you do call in, please ensure that you turn down the volume of your radio so that we can avoid interference and we can have a smooth flow of conversation. Now, Dr. Safia, let's go straight into business. More often than not, in the political scene in Nigeria, male candidates fill up that scene. It's a male-dominated field, particularly preceding the elections. And in the rare cases that they're female candidates, they do not command such a high response from voters. How do we begin to sensitize people in the society on the need to vote and support female candidates come 2023?
Hello?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
I didn't hear the last part of your question.
All right. So my question was, a lot of the time... Okay, it's clearer now?
Yes, it is clear.
Awesome. All right, so male candidates usually flood the political scene, particularly preceding election time. And in the rare cases that they're female candidates, they do not command such a high response from voters. They do not command high voter influence. So how do we begin to sensitize people in the society on the need to not just vote, but vote and also support female candidates come 2023 elections?
In fact, as it is now, we cannot rule out the fact that women have to come in. This is an idea whose time has come, and we know that it needs to be done. And an idea whose time has come, literally speaking, requires only a mild push to jolt it into reckoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
For us to sensitize people in the society, we can make use of various social media channels, mainstream media, diverse form of seminars, forums, summits, and this will be a great vehicle for the sensitization of the populace. The urban populace, right? And then for the grassroots, we can have individuals, carrying out this sensitization campaign, to let people know that, look, women have to come in. Nigeria needs nurturing, and women nurture, so we need women to come in, to move our country forward.
That's very interesting that you put it that way. Nigerian is nurturing. Women are made to nurture, and women can do the job. So we need women to come forward. So talking about women coming forward, what can female aspirants do to ensure that they have adequate media coverage to showcase them and their works? You talked about using mainstream media. So how can we incorporate that to ensure that the media plays a large role in covering and showcasing the works of female aspirants? Dr. Sophia, can you hear me? Hello, are you there? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you louder. Can you hear me?
All right. Okay, this is still Political Arena, 10 minutes after 2 on Your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. We're discussing 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. I was speaking with Dr. Safia Stephanie Musa, National Vice President, Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria, talking about supporting female candidates, or more specifically, mobilizing to support female candidates come the 2023 elections. This is a subject that has been in conversation for quite a while, and it is a subject that will continue to be in conversation, particularly until we see the change that we're demanding, the change that we're requesting, the change that we deem fit for a country like Nigeria. I mean, it's bewildering that in 2021 of today, we only have 7 out of 109 senators and only 22 out of the 360 House of Representative members that are women in 2021. You ask yourself, how is this possible? How is this still happening? But it is a reality that we're currently in, and due to the fact that it's a current reality, that is why we're having this conversation. 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. Dr. Sophia, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you. MTN has an issue.
Yes, but I'm glad you're back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was talking to you earlier about what female aspirants can do to ensure that they have adequate media coverage to showcase them as candidates and also their works. So what can they do? How can they use the media, or how can they work with the media?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I didn't get that. Say that again, please. In the rare cases that they are female candidates, we usually do not get as much voter traction as we should, or as we usually get for male candidates. Apologies for the inconvenience. The network is not very good at the moment, and we're trying to reconnect with Dr. Sophia. So, talking about mobilizing to support female candidates, it's imperative that this is a conversation that we have. This is a conversation for the now, and definitely a conversation for the future, because the future is ours and the future is what we make it now, which is why we're requesting, or which is why we keep clamoring for voter influence when it comes to female candidates. And this can only be done when female voters understand the need for female candidates in power, the need for female political authorities, the need for female voices in the political terrain. And this will not come to play even if we have female candidates, if people do not vote actively for these candidates. Again, we still have Dr. Safia Stephanie Musa, National Vice President, Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria. Dr. Safia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. But I can't hear you clearly. But I'm here.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. I was talking to you earlier about how female aspirants can ensure that they have adequate media coverage to showcase them and their works. What can they do to be able to have that kind of coverage that they need?
Like I started earlier, before the network course is on Wahala.
Of course.
There's actually a toolkit and a blueprint out there already. I mean, the traditional media, social media, and all of that. I mean, what are the male aspirants doing in this regard? We need to understand them. Like, what are they doing? What do we need to do? We need to do this and do much more, than what they are doing. Where women can't realize the fact that we need to work harder, than the men.
Mm-hmm.
But the men is already given as such. So we must look closer to the media across the spectrum: TV, radio, newspapers, and of course, the massive audience available now on social media. And the women really have to be strategic. You find ways to pass information across to the people while creating ideas and showcasing what we have done well and brought better over the years. Be it as professionals or as volunteering activities or community building activities, we need to push all of this out there.
Absolutely. Is this a move, in your opinion, that should be done closer to the election period or way before the election time?
Oh, way before the election time, you need to start now. I mean, successful people do not just start like that, they start way ahead of time. I mean, we look at most of the female leaders out there in other nations. They started, from somewhere. They didn't just come in to become prime ministers or president. They started as something, probably as mayors or, party leaders. So you need to start this now. You don't wait until the election comes, before you start your campaigns or sensitization.
Absolutely. So for female candidates that want to go all the way into like the highest political office in the land, maybe, okay, let's start with governors. Let's not go all the way to president just yet. Let's start with governors. Even though they want to go through governorship, even all the way to presidency, would you suggest that they start showcasing their works and from the smaller positions, or they can aspire to go straight into governorship and presidency?
Yes, I would say they should start showcasing their work. I mean, let's be realistic here. We can't deceive ourselves.
Absolutely.
For some people, they may be lucky. I mean, you can just go in and become a governor. I, for one, believe that it's possible, especially when you have been doing a lot of stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, your volunteering, community building activities, all this comes to play, So it doesn't necessarily have to be a political office. If you've been doing stuff, people are seeing what you've been doing, that can help. You can start from there. But starting from, the lower levels helps a lot. I mean, if you started as a chairman of a local government, your state assembly and lawmaker, that helps. But, I mean, you can be lucky to get in there on governorship. For president, honestly, realistically, no, I don't believe a woman can just jump up, or a man really, can just jump up and come and say, I want to be president, and then it's going to work. But if they have something they've been doing, there's a story to tell, there's a background story,
there's a track record.
Then they may be lucky. Yeah, they may be lucky to come in on that level.
Absolutely. Okay, talking about smaller levels and how do I put it now? Relationships that work. I'm talking about this time, when I say relationships that work, I'm talking about partnerships with civil society organizations. I'm asking now, how can female aspirants partner with civil society organizations to ensure that women representation in governance is increased significantly? Because, to be honest, Dr. Sophia, civil society organizations, women groups, all these organizations that play a large role in mobilizing and supporting and sensitizing in the grassroots. That's what I mean to say. In the grassroots, they play a large role in influencing voter behavior come election time. So how can female aspirants partner with some of these civil society organizations to ensure that women representation in governance is increased significantly?
Female aspirants, we need to be more deliberate with their engagement choices, as much as they must be cleverly innovative in their approaches. When I say innovative in their approaches, I mean they have to do something, they have to do things differently. I'm not saying, don't do the same thing the men are doing. Of course, you can do the same thing they are doing, but, you have to do your own things differently. For example, you can start setting up your call centers now. I mean, if you want to run, you're an aspirant, you want to run, you can start setting up your call centers now and partner with civil society organizations. Women are not seeking political offices because they are females, really not available to fill quotas, right? They are putting themselves forward on account of competencies, capacities to deliver on expectations, especially at the time that Nigeria is in their need of transformational leaders. And in addition to this, women leaders are breaking barriers. They're raising benchmarks and showcasing best-in-class leadership while enriching diversity of thought in the political space all over the world. So we cannot afford to miss opportunity offered by more female participation in the political decision-making space to improve our policy and politics. On this note, women aspirants or female aspirants will work closely with the civil society organizations, interact and network more to showcase our massive potentials and capacity to deliver more focused and impactful leadership. We aren't just coming because we are women, we want to run. No, we have the capacity and we have to build this capacity for a viable democracy. We can get involved in participating in activities of the civil society organizations, which further allows more interaction and networking, and can have a lot of partnerships with them. Carrying out constituency projects, advocacies, sensitization, awareness, and all of that.
Absolutely. That is definitely a big way to make a mark, to make an impact from these levels that go up all the way to the bigger influence, which now commands voter response when they come out as female aspirants for any political office, as a matter of fact. So we always talk about female aspirants. Every time I hear female aspirants, I'm excited, I'm energized, because I feel like this is the change that we really need. But in the same vein, it comes off relatively cautious, like you want to be more cautious about it because of certain things, e.g. culture. Now, I say that because as much as culture is a way of life, it also has its advantages and disadvantages. In your opinion, Dr. Safia, do you think that cultural practices pose a barrier to women participation in governance? So this question is a two-part question, yeah? Do you think that cultural practices pose a barrier to women participation in governance? And if you do think so, how can we eradicate completely some of these practices to help raise more women, more competent and effective women come 2023? No more we are shy, no more fear. There's so much fear because of violent practices and just the insecurity, violence against women. There's so much to be fearful about. But some of these things do not directly link to culture. So that's why I asked specifically about cultural practices. Do you think they pose a barrier to women participation? And if you do think so, how can we eradicate some of these practices to help raise women come the 2023 elections?
I see it differently, though. I see, the culture is there, but I see that we can actually harness our culture to encourage more women to participate, in governance. Every man or woman has a mother, right? We're all
of course.
To the nurturing nature of our mothers, of women. And then women in leadership are natural for leadership. They are more focused on building, nurturing, and building win-win relationships, right? So when we have challenges, traditional roles of women belonging to homestead or kitchen, for example, we can, of course, enlighten our people through government, non-governmental, traditional religious platforms. On the religious one, that's kind of dicey, so I don't want to mention any religion. I don't want to be specific. I don't want to be controversial in any way.
True.
So for the religious one, it can be dicey, in some particular ones. But we can enlighten our people through these platforms, and there's strength and more progress with diversity. Really, we need to start making our people understand this. Look at Germany, for example. Germany is missing Angela Merkel, right? She's gone, but they're missing her. She was there for a long time, and she changed the economy of that country.
Definitely.
So we need to start looking at that, let's not hold back the women, all these cultural barriers. We can actually use them to move forward.
I like that perspective in particular, because people more often than not usually view culture as more disadvantageous than advantageous. But I'm glad you've put it in a context that everybody can understand, in a way that it helps us foster our agenda, promote the agenda of getting more women in governance. So finally, before I let you go, Dr. Sophia, I want to talk to you about the men. A lot of the time when we say
the people holding us back, right?
When we say female participation, it always looks as if we want to take over. We want to just get them out of the mix and just put ourselves in there. But my question to you right now is, first I want to say we need the support of these men, because these men are part of our families. They are brothers, they are husbands, they are sons. So what can men do? What can some of these men do to support women in their political aspirations? What can men do to support women in their political aspirations and active participation in governance?
Let me start by saying, we have the he for she. Now, dear men, stop paying lip service to he for she. Because sometimes I feel I'm he for she, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty of it, are you really a he for she? So men really need to see diversity at leadership table as a treasure. They shouldn't see it as competition, or these women are coming to take over, they're coming to chase us away. No. See it as a treasure. See it as a win-win for all. And then they should start to unlearn the stereotypes of only male leaders, and support more women by canvassing for women and mentoring women. We need male mentors as well, Of course, politics and campaigning needs funding as well. Men can also assist in raising funds while educating their female, while educating other men to see women leaders as an asset. We are not competing. We're partners. And to move this country forward, we need to work together. And really, you can't rule out the fact that women have a lot, they are bringing to the table. Mm-hmm. So we need the men to support women greatly on this. Without the men, we won't be able to do this. We need them. We need them to support us.
And that's it. That's the reality on ground. Thank you very much, Dr. Sophia. Stephanie Musa, thank you so much for joining us today on Political Arena.
Thank you, Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
26 minutes past the hour of 2 on Your Women Radio, WFM 91.7, Nigeria's only radio station for women and their families. If you're just joining us, this is Political Arena, where we discuss politicking in Nigeria. Today we're discussing 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. Again, 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. You can join the conversation by calling the phone lines 07000 917 917 0902 562 5455. Again, 07000 917 917 0902 562 5455. I have with me my second guest, Miriam Menkitty, Executive Director, Women Information Network. Good afternoon, Miriam.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us on Political Arena today.
Yeah, thanks too for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, the phone lines are still open. And before I continue my conversation with Miriam, the phone lines are still open if you want to contribute on the subject, 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. You can put a call through to the phone line 07000 917 917 or 902 562 5455. Or you can send a text message or a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. Anywhere else you are in the world, you can also listen via the stream link www.wfm917.com. www.wfm917.com. You can also follow us in our social media handles at WFM917 on Facebook and Instagram. You can send your comments there as well as we discuss 2023 elections, mobilizing to support female candidates. All right, Miriam, thank you very much again for joining us. I want to start out this conversation with you by asking what it is that women can do to ensure that they are not marginalized in the forthcoming 2023 elections? But before I let you answer, I was just speaking with Dr. Safia Stephanie Musa. She is the National Vice President for the Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria. And she made a point about the fact that we need men and we need the support of men in female aspirations for governance. And she said that in a bid to explain that the partnership, that the leadership what we're talking about is not taking over and sidelining men. It's leadership that comes with partnership. So we need their support, and we cannot do this successfully without their support. Do you think this support or this call for the support of men is influential when it comes to whether or not women get marginalized in the 2023 elections?
Yes, it does. This call for men to support women is very necessary. We need them to support us because that the men are the ones who uphold the patriarchal nature of the society. So we need to get them to support us. We need to get them to recognize that there are capable women who can lead, who can hold public offices, and then men as husbands, fathers, family members, brothers, sons also need to support us. I mean, if you come from a family and the males in your family support you, it makes things easier for you because the other people in the society will now see that you even have support from home. So it helps. And it is necessary that we call on men who are mainly, in the top hierarchy of political parties. We also need their support at the political party level, in associations where, we belong to, and in the group, professional associations. So we really need the support of men to move forward.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Talking about needing the support of men, is there anything else that we can do aside the obvious support that we need from the men to ensure that women do not get marginalized in the forthcoming elections from any other angle, from grassroots women, grassroots men, career-wise, from organization support, religious support? Is there anything else that we can do to ensure that women are not marginalized in the forthcoming elections?
Well, the thing to do is that women need to showcase themselves, show their achievements, show that they are capable. They can do this by using the media platform, visiting associations where they belong to, talking to the people, men, women, youth, persons with disabilities, everyone. Mobilizing them, talking to them, sharing their past experiences, showing their past records will also help. Because when you tell your story of what you have done, then people begin to see you in a better light than they probably know. We know that patriarchy is entrenched in our society, and we really have to do a lot of work. More especially, we also need the media to showcase the women. We also need the media to deliberately bring up women, talk to them, put them on the media platform. These are some of the things that will help, to make women get to the top. In addition to seeking the support of the leadership of political parties. The other thing that can be done is the political parties can also make policies, deliberate policies that will help advance women's cause. Because what we see at this time is that at some point we begin to see men asking women to step down for them. If the parties could make policies and keep deliberate spaces for women, for instance, say that 20% or 30%, indeed, 35%. 35% of the positions should be left for women. I mean, this will show that they really support us because they know that political campaigns in Nigeria are very expensive. Women may not have as much money as the men. So there is need to create a space for women. If, for instance, they keep 35% solely for women, that will be a good stepping stone for the women to come up. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that, and thank you very much for making that very good point. But before I come back to the issue of funds and resources, I'm coming back to that. But I'd also like to ask, is there any role that we, the citizenry, we, the electorate, is there any role that we can play to influence women not being marginalized? Is there any role that we can play as people who have voter power?
Yes. The women who have their voter cards have a big role to play. We must, as women, begin to believe in ourselves, begin to believe in our capabilities, and rally around our own women and support them with our vote, because we have the numbers. So if there's any woman that we agree as women that we are going to do for, you can be sure that that woman will win. But also, we also need to mobilize women. We also need to talk to them. The female politicians need to do that. I know that there are partnerships going on now. There are organizations that are, mobilizing for women politicians, bringing them together on a platform, telling them to talk about their issues. And also, there are organizations that are, trying to give women a voice. That is, put them in the media, let people see them, let people know them. And it's a way also to get the women and also the men to vote for women. We have strong women who have done great things. We have people like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. We have Obi Ezekwesili. We have women who have excelled. We have late Professor Dora Akunyele. We have women who have excelled in politics in the past, like Margaret Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti, Hajia Gambo Sawaba. These are women who had excelled. And there are still women in this age who can do well if we support them. So let us identify the women who we know are strong and have achieved much, support them, vote for them. And then I believe it will help us to get a foothold in elected positions. And then for the appointive positions, we have to keep talking with the government. We have to keep talking with the political parties who are the ones who nominate candidates for this position, to recognize women and to, give them their rightful place in the society. We have very strong women who are doing well, who can do well in leadership. We have our current minister for Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talent. She has moved from deputy governor to minister. We have women who are knowledgeable, who are smart, and there are quite a good number of them who want to vie for political offices. It is also our duty to mobilize our fellow women and emphasize the gain of putting women in political office. So we have a duty to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to go back to the subject of access to funds and resources. You mentioned that earlier, and I said I was going to come back to that. So I'm coming back to that now. This issue of funds and resources is a very repetitive one. And it's repetitive not because it's trivial, but because it's extremely important when it comes to getting into political offices. The entire process, a lot of it is bankrolled. A lot of it has financial implications. So you cannot take money or funds or resources out of the equation when you talk about women vying for political offices or female candidates vying for positions of political power. So to change the narrative, to change the narrative and to see more women in political offices, how can we ensure that female aspirants have enough funds and resources to contest for elective positions come 2023? How can we turn things around? How can we ensure that female aspirants have enough funds and resources to contest? What are some steps that we can take to make that our end, to get to that end that we're looking at?
Well, women aspirants, who are vying for political offices, they need to mobilize funds from fellow women, family, friends. We should all rally around them to mobilize financial support to assist them in their quest to get into political office. The sad situation is a very high cost of elections in the country. This puts women to a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to tell you that women are aware and they are working to overcome that challenge. This platform that I'm talking about is also trying to mobilize funds, for women. It's a difficult situation, but it's something that, we as women need to do strategically. We need to seek support from women's groups, from individual women. We need to identify women who have the resources, and maybe just like the men do, have godfathers who will finance their elections. Maybe we need to begin to look in that direction, talking to women who are rich and encouraging them to support women to get into political office, because it is to our gain and to the gain of the society. So
Miriam, let me interject for 1 second.
Okay.
So in a previous conversation, this subject of godfatherism came up. And it came up along these same lines of finances and support with resources to attain political positions for women. And I asked this question that we always talk about godfatherism. It's something that is very common within our current political terrain. Is godfatherism more advantageous than disadvantageous in the long run? And if it's disadvantageous, is it a good idea to seek that for women as well? Or do we think that women who can fulfill the same roles of these godfathers will give other women who want to aspire for political offices higher chances along that journey?
Well, from experience, godfatherism, may not be the best, or godmotherism may not be the best. But in our present
I like the way you put that, godmotherism.
Yes. But in the present circumstance, we need to do something for ourselves. It may not be as badly as some, others have done it, but, some kind of support, whatever it is. It may not be the godfatherism aspect of taking a whole state allocation, but have some support for your women, for your fellow women, and bring them up.
Absolutely.
Because it is in our best interest.
All right.
However, one may also suggest that INEC should look into the spending during election, even the cost of buying forms. These are all very expensive. If we can bring it down and make these offices less lucrative, in quotes, then women may begin to have chances. So it's quite a task. But, with determination, the women, can surmount this.
I believe that. I believe that. I believe so. I believe so. So, I was talking to you earlier in my opening statement with you about the conversation I just had with my previous guest before you, when she mentioned that men have to do their bit to support women political participation. you said you agree with that. But why I want to ask you this now is because some of these men have been driven by certain cultural beliefs over time that influences just from the upbringing of their female children into what they aspire to be. So there's some level of limitation as to how far they can conceive success, particularly when it comes to politics. Now, I put it in this manner because I'm interested in whether you think that cultural practices pose a barrier to women participation in governance. Do you think so?
Yes, I do. I know that there are cultural practices in some parts of the country, that are a barrier to women's participation. I was in a program last week, and some people, said that some women, very high women from a certain part of the country were invited to a radio program, and their husbands refused that these wives should speak on the radio. So, these are some of the barriers that stop women, But in some other parts of the country, it's not so difficult. But I think that we should seek to get support of men. And we're in the 21st century, we need to get the men to begin to understand that, the society is moving on, and that any woman who has leadership traits, leadership qualities, should not be stopped. In some places, family members would not want to support. In some other places, communities will say, for instance, we do not want a woman to represent us. These are the barriers that are in existence now.
How can we break some of these barriers?
Is by sensitizing the people, making them understand that women have brains, they can do things well. It's just by sensitizing the people, community, men, families, society in general. So there is work to be done in the area of sensitization, because also some of the men are afraid that their wives will outshine them, and that is why they want to stop them. You recall some time ago in the House of Representatives where somebody was saying that if you give more powers to women like this, he mentioned some, that they will overtake the men. So it is also fear of women overtaking the men that is the problem. So it is education, using the media, going to communities, talking to the people, talking to our traditional rulers, the custodians of this culture, some of these damaging cultures that put women down. It is really sensitization. And, talking about inclusion, they need to have all segments of society represented, because we know that democracy thrives better when everyone participates. So there's no need putting the women down and leaving the only one segment, to work. We will not get all the benefits that we desire if we stop women, or if we stop people with disabilities, or we stop the youth. Because you notice in Nigeria, we have quite a number of very old people still in politics, not giving space for the youth to come up. So we are talking about inclusion, sensitizing the people about inclusion. The media has a lot of work to do. Include women in leadership, include women in appointed positions, include the youth, and then the narrative will begin to change. We have work to do on sensitizing the people on inclusion and supporting women's participation in politics. Actually, there are people who do not know that there's a need to support women's participation in politics. Those class of people we also need to educate. We need to educate, re-educate people re-educate the society on the need to have not only 50% of the populace contributing to leadership. Let us have men, women, and all segments of society. So it is sensitization, education, re-education, and then getting the media to understand their role in putting these issues on the media agenda. That women are capable. Give women a voice. Let's have women talk for themselves. Let's also have men to talk about women, to talk for women. And, I believe that, those are the things that we should do to turn things around.
Thank you so much again, Miriam Menkitty, Executive Director, Women Information Network. Before I let you go, Miriam, I want to ask you a question. I don't know how you will perceive this, if this is a trick question or if this is your reality, but I'm going to take a leap and I'll ask it anyway. Will you be running for any political office come 2023?
No, I'm not running for any political office because I'm not a member of any political party for now. I'm an independent person, working in the development sector.
Oh, okay.
For now.
All right.
However,
I say this part.
However, I'm part of the women who are supporting women to get into political office.
And more women should be like you. Let me help you with the ending of that one. And more women should be like you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Finally, what is your advice for women running for political offices in 2023? What is your honest advice
to women who are running for political offices in 2023 is to be focused on the office that they want to run for. Mobilize support for their campaigns, access the media, to introduce themselves to the constituents and the society, share their achievements to show their track record, seek their party's political support, and work with women and men for their success. They need women, they need men, they need youth, working together with all segments of society. It's quite some assignments, but it's a task that must be accomplished because we need to change the narrative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that wraps up my conversation with you, Miriam. It's been a joy having you on Political Arena today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
8 minutes to 3 on Your Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's only radio station for women and their families. This is Political Arena, and we're discussing active politicking in Nigeria. I just rounded off my conversation with Miriam Menkitty, Executive Director, Women Information Network. And you would agree with me that in light of the conversation with Miriam Menkitty as well as Dr. Safia Stephanie Musa, you would agree with me that there is so much work that needs to be done as regards mobilizing women to support female candidates. There's so much to be done in a bid to mobilize willing and capable female candidates in preparations for the 2023 elections. These women need training in the fundamentals of politics. They need to understand grassroots politics and engage people at the grassroots level all the way up. Women need to start canvassing for funds and position themselves well in the public eye so that they can be taken seriously and also garner the support of women to boost their chances in the coming 2023 elections. So, thank you very much again to our guest, Dr. Safia Stephanie Musa, National Vice President, Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria, as well as Miriam Menkitty, Executive Director, Women Information Network. Thank you again to the production crew, Esther Alaribe. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajama. Next on Women Radio 91.7 is the news at 3. Good afternoon.